How the F are you there, Internet? F, if you didn't know, stands for fantastic. How the fantastic are you? No, that probably doesn't mean that. Today, we are going to do another review. And last video I asked, specifically between, well, a couple, but these are the two that I decided I was going to kind of show down. And if you're watching this, you already know what it is because it's in the title of the video. Between these two bad boys right here. But this bad boy is done by, it's the Aventador by Stealth. They are having a Kickstarter come up in a couple days. So I want to be able to give them a shout out and a link to their Kickstarter. So we're going to talk about the Very Dapper today. But these guys, and everything in my collection, these two are probably the closest, maybe not size-wise, but the closest in terms of like, do you choose this or do you choose this? A lot of other things here are very different, right? This is a little different. It's lighter than both of them. This guy's got a different feel. This guy's certainly different. This guy's certainly different, right? This guy's certainly different. This guy's certainly different. This guy's certainly different. Right? So we got a lot of different stuff going on here. But these two in particular are the closest, kind of like, hey, let's decide what I'm gonna choose to go with here. And trying to get a little more professional, we've got a little scale here. So I didn't calibrate it. I haven't gotten the weights to calibrate it, but it should be pretty close. And this particular spinner, I'm using it just to show you. I know is 110. At least they listed as 110, and it's showing 107.9. And I've switched out the bearing, and I'm using the plastic instead of the steel, so we're probably real close to right on. So when we put these two bad boys down, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, we're showing, it's hard to see because it's bright out. Can you see that? 185.2. Try and keep this still. Don't want to give you guys too much shaky cam. 185.2, and we're showing 195.2. So literally exactly a 10-gram difference. And this guy, you definitely can feel that it weighs a little bit more than this guy. But short of the slight difference in weight, these guys are very similar. But we are going to talk about what I like about this guy today. I'll do another video on this shortly, and hopefully get that lined up pretty close to when they're doing their Kickstarter, which I believe is going to be June 7th. So look out for that. So it is, we're kind of losing the sun a little bit, but it's enough to get a little warm. But we'll put you away. I also realized that my style of videos, you guys probably already realized this, but I thought I wanted to go on record and just talk about it, our very stream of consciousness. I don't plan my reviews too much. I pretty much just hit record and start talking about these guys. So I've been spinning this guy for, since I got it. It's a little less than a week, but I've been up with a broken toe and a little newborn baby with this nice, lovely case sitting next to me. Here, we'll pick my camera up a little bit. So this is the 1170, a little one-drop bearing. Been sitting with this next to me, and I've literally just been going in and out, in and out, in and out, and this is one of the ones I've definitely been grabbing quite a bit. So let's set my camera back down. Hopefully you guys didn't get too dizzy from that. And I realized, I don't know exactly what I was saying. Realizing my videos, I spin a lot with my left. I try to mix it up. I don't know if you guys do this. Try to mix up left and right in terms of the hands that you're spinning with, and what you have a preference towards. I'm definitely right-handed, and I'm certainly not anywhere near ambidextrous in terms of how I write, but I try to get my right hand and left hand in on the action as much as I can. So maybe if I ever bust my fingers, I'll be really happy that I did that. But let's talk about Very Dapper. I think that's actually the first time I've said Very Dapper in this video, and we're 4 minutes in. So it's going to be a long one, but you guys know I rant and I tangent, and if you don't, you do now. But Very Dapper, Very Dapper. Let's just get it out of the way. Fantastic spinner. Somewhere in here, probably right in there, I think is where the words come. I'll list the price. I don't want to get it wrong. I think it's about $34.99. Might be a little more, might be a little less, but we'll have the right one. You guys will already know, because again, I told you I don't plan these videos out too well. But really, really like this guy. So with that 85 grams, now that I can be exact, feels really, really nice. It's a good weight for fidgetability. You've got some outward taper here. So this actually gets really good spin times because more of the mass is on the outside, but I find it easy to get my finger in, give it good spins. It really has a good feel. And again, you guys know I like the brass. I'm a brass man. I think there's something that could be said there to sound like another word. But I'm all about that brass. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Use a big fine spinner once you back that brass up. I should have opened with this. I meant to open with it as well. In all my videos, I have a little bit of what you might call, I think they call it musical Tourette's, where I just kind of like to break into song, or at least reference lyrics in songs. And that's where I literally do not plan them ahead of time. And in almost every video, I've had a different music video to link to, so I guess I know what it's going to be in this one. But that's what it is. So use a big fine spinner once you back that brass up. Like the brass, and yeah, it doesn't give too much of a, it's not like copper. There's a little bit of a brass smell. I just snip my fingers. And yeah, it doesn't give me too much of that smell, but it's got a really good weight. The copper smell, I think, can get a little annoying. I don't really have any copper spinners, so that's not really fair, but I don't like handling pennies for a similar reason. So where were we? So yeah, the spin on this guy, really, really, really maximum fidgetability. We can kind of load it down a little and then flick it out. Feels good. We got a little bit of cloud, so that's why the warp isn't quite as crisp, but we are still outside. Anyway, I can bring it in, flick, really pretty comfortable. I can pull in with ring finger, pull in with index finger, kind of load it out and then whip it back in. This is a spin I've been trying. I see a lot of this spin, right, where you push it out or you pull it back in, but not so much of the same spin I do with these fingers, where my index finger comes in from the side as opposed to from the top. Really enjoying that spin. Let's get you out of here. We don't need you in there anymore. Really trying to work that spin a bit, because it's not one I do normally, and trying to get my index finger in the action so he's not just holding it. But this is really maximum fidgetability. Really good all-day spinner. If you guys remember when I was talking about this one a couple days ago, I wouldn't recommend this as my only spinner, but this is one that could definitely be like hey, I'm looking to buy just one spinner, I want it to be nice, this could be it. This is a really high quality spinner. Really can't say much bad about it. I did switch back to the Kepler buttons, essentially feel identical to the Spinetic ones, but I wanted to put the Spinetic on the Aventador there. So yeah, rambling, tangent all over the place. You guys are still with me though, I hope. What don't we like about this? The only real negative thing that I could think to say is if you look here, and I guess they don't have it on the titaniums. If you watch Speedy Tech videos, you got a titanium one and it didn't have these little grooves right here. And those are actually, we'll get in real close, those are actually pretty sharp. I could probably do that same, maybe that's a good test. I can't really get my fingernail in there. But you can see I was able to shave off a little bit of stuff there. That is probably a good hotspot test. My fingers are pretty, they look pretty soft, but they're pretty rough. I do a lot of little things with my fingers, so my fingers are always kind of, are used to, I think, getting a little sore or worn or blistered or what have you. But that is definitely a bit of a hot spot there. The rest of this, you can feel it a little bit, like this chamfer right here, that right there, could potentially be a hot spot. But the fit and finish on this guy, for the most part, is pretty good for a, for a spinner, especially in this price range. So I think it definitely punches above its weight. This is definitely a nice quality spinner. And then it's also not too much of a knockoff. I guess it's a little bit like the Thrax. I think the Thrax has full cutouts there where this doesn't. There's only so many designs you can do. But I think for the price range, getting an original, or something that's not just a blatant clone, I think this is the way to go. Got the same old retention method. You can see some of those machining marks on the inside, but they're pretty covered up by the buttons. Two-handed spins, pretty good. Spin time, she is the spin time champion. I took perhaps one of my best broken ends hybrid ceramic bearings that this guy uses, that got him, I think I've gotten up to 17 minutes on a really good spin with this guy on vertical. Put that bearing in this guy and got a little over 10 minutes on a vertical spin with the bearing that came in it, which I'm pretty sure is a stainless steel. I'll try to look it up and try to remember and add it here if it's not, but I'm pretty sure it's a stainless steel bearing. That one kind of gets on average on vertical spins somewhere in the 6 to 7 minute neighborhood, which is pretty solid, which is really all you want for something fidgetable. Now this is again, despite you've heard me talk about my spindly little spider fingers that are really, again, big hands, but really long, skinny fingers. Despite that, I like the weight, right? This 110 gram beast right here, I really do like spinning and don't have much of an issue grabbing this, holding this, spinning and fidgeting with this a lot. Again, this is a fair bit lighter at 85 grams, but it still feels pretty heavy in the brass. If you're not if you kind of like some weight, but maybe potentially a little worried, maybe the stainless steel is a better version because that's definitely going to be a little lighter. But yeah, I don't really know what else there is to say, but really, really happy. This spinner, I definitely would give an A in my book. I don't know if I'd give it an A plus, right? I could sand these down. I may sand it down and do a little shipwrecked style look, because I really like how that looks on brass. You can see in this video, I posted some stuff online, but you can see in this one how I kind of messed up the clear coat way too much on this button, where it kind of dripped down and just some rough spots in there. So I'll try and sand it down and see if we can save it, but anyway, just show you some nice patina there. I've got a video in the works on it, but I'll probably put it out there anyway because I don't want to waste the content that I recorded, but we'll probably need to be redone, but we'll put you back in there. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm really just rambling on at this point. I really just want to spin the spinner in front of you and give you guys a feel for what it looks like, what it feels like. This surface here is kind of brushed. I took my Zentri, which had the same thing, had that same brush, and actually sanded this down the same way I did this effect right here. If you guys remember me talking about how you polish that, I did the same thing on this, and I've just let this one kind of get a natural patina, but that actually feels really nice. You hear anything? Oh, that's that one drop bearing. We'll talk about it. Here's a tin full of bearings. We're going to talk about bearings soon. But that feeling right there feels really nice, and this, I think the same thing with this one, with these little grooves. It's got, I think, sanding this brush finish off and giving it a really nice smooth surface will feel really nice. I'll probably do that at some point. May even shipwreck patina this guy, because I get the feeling I'm going to want to do that to all my brass eventually once I figure out clear coating. So there you have it, the Very Dapper. She's nice and thick. Lots of good chamfering on pretty much everywhere, but these surfaces right in here, right? These guys right here, about the only surfaces that you got to worry about hot spots on. Good on slow spins, spins for days, right? You give it just the slightest little tap. Look at it go. And this is the bearing that came in it as well. I did pick up a bunch of stainless steel bearings and Fidget HQ bearings. Let's see if we can get a really good two-handed warp for you. Not getting the catch. Sorry, we'll just slow it down and get the slightly slower speed warp. We don't really quite have quite the best light for it today. You hear that? Hear my finger rubbing on it just a little, just to slow it down. By Kepler. So, solid spinner. Thanks for sticking around if you stuck all the way around through it. If you have any other questions, anything you'd like to see, we'll be talking about this guy probably next, and then probably going into this guy here, and then somewhere along the way talking about that, patina, and bearings. I just need more time with these guys. There's so many bearings I got in there, and I just don't know enough about them to really kind of just be able to jump into it, and I want to make it a quality video talking about bearings, so we'll get there. But thanks. Yeah, I feel like I'm just running out of ways to end this, so since I like to end it on a warp, and that was a good one. Oh, see how long it stays? Good quality spin time when you see that sort of warp just stay that long and hold it. So we'll leave it with that. We'll just jam this middle finger in there and then say peace. Peace.